What's up, guys? We have a new smart feeder sent to us from PeckPerk here, and I'm super excited to unbox this one. Again, I'm not trying to review feeders that are exactly the same as other feeders. This one does have some unique features to it as well, so let's get into it. All right, so this is pretty well packaged. It does have a very unique shape, kind of like an almond shape to it, which is pretty cool, but I'm gonna take it inside and get it set up. Let's get this thing put together and unboxed. All right, so assembly was pretty easy. Here's the bird feeder. Honestly, it was just basically installing this stand on it, and they provide you with these little screws on the bottom. Pretty cool design. The camera can actually be adjusted on this one, so you can push it up or down, although facing it down is obviously gonna get you the best angle at looking at the birds. So different build on this one. Looks pretty cool, to be honest. I like the colors on it, that beige color. I think it comes in one other color. I picked the beige. And then what's cool about this feeder is I actually get to test out the solar panel capabilities on this one. This is the first company to send me a solar panel with the feeder, so we get to see how that works. I've heard that you don't even have to charge it if you put this in a sunny enough spot, so that's pretty cool as well. I'm gonna plug this in right now, get that feeder charging up, because you can't transport a feeder with a full battery. You can't transport anything with a full battery. So let's charge this up, and then I'm gonna go get this set up outside and give you a final review. Like always, they send you a tree strap that you can hang it up with, or some pole mounts as well, so you can put it on a pole. Then lastly, you can always just mount it directly using screws and stuff like that. I'm not gonna do that because I'm hanging it on a tree. Seems like the feeder just locks on and can be taken off pretty easily. So if you have to take it down for any reason, it should be really, really easy to do so with this device. So really excited to check this out. Also to check out the app that comes with it. And we also get to try out the AI capability as well, which is the first time I've been able to do that on one of these SmartBird feeders. So super excited about this. Let's get this charged up and set up. All right, so the feeder is pretty easy to put together. It's all charged up, ready to go. Let's get it mounted up here on the tree. I just used the basic tree strap here and the mounting thing, and I think it just slides right on. So yeah, so it just slides right on there. Obviously it took me a minute. You can actually swivel it, so if you want to turn it away, and then there's a release button underneath. So we have a little solar panel here. It has screws for it to mount to things, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm just planning on putting it up in this tree here. I like the design on it. I like that almond shape, I guess you could call it. It does look like it's charging. This yellow light indicates that it's charging, so the solar is bringing in some electricity there. Again, cable management's important. Don't want, if you have squirrels in your area, to chew on this, so you'll want to put it, either squirrel proof it or make sure that the cables are managed well. Now to fill it up, it's pretty easy. Unscrew the back here. This back panel pops off actually. And then you can just pour your seed into the top here in this trough. Seems to be able to hold a lot of seed actually. I think more than some of the other feeders that I've used. It's only halfway full. You might want to use a smaller seed type with this feeder, because at the bottom here, the trough, the opening for the seed to come out is kind of small. That's my only thought or gripe on it. Not a deal breaker at all. Just use some Niger seed or some smaller seed. You could also just use black sunflower seed. The birds will come and they'll perch here and they'll pull the seed out themselves. Again, this feeder is all plastic, so be careful if you're in a squirrel area. If you're in a squirrel area, which a lot of you are, you want to hang up the feeder on a pole with a squirrel baffle. Otherwise, the squirrels might chew through the plastic. Again, this just slides on. Yep, super easy. Then you have your screw that on the back there. The sun will be directly on the solar panel for about the first 4 hours of daylight during the day. It's already behind us right now, so I should get a good charge in the morning to help charge it up. I'm curious to see how the battery holds. If I ever have to, charge this thing, what I would have to do on this feeder is you'd actually have to take it off, because the camera doesn't really come out. You'd have to take it off, take the whole thing inside. That's one downside, so I would definitely make sure the solar panel is part of your bundle on this. So let's review the app, check out and see what birds come in the next couple of days. We'll dive into that. All right, so I've had the feeder for a few days now. Let's get into a little bit of impressions about this feeder. First, I want to talk about the app. The app's pretty well put together. There is a little bit of a learning curve, however, and that's not really a deal breaker. Once you figure it out, then it's pretty easy to navigate. You have to go to playback and then look up your birds, and then you can add those to your album. It takes 10 to 20 second clips, depending on what setting you put it on, of your birds, and it stores those things on the app. So that's pretty cool. Let's roll through a little bit of footage of the birds that I've seen at the feeder so far. Feeders have come so far. It's so cool to be able to watch those birds so up close at your own feeder. Now let's talk about something real quick, the AI. So I tested the AI out on a few bird species. I tested it out on a magpie, black-billed magpie to be exact, and it did get that bird correct. However, I did go and test it out on a black-capped chickadee, and it did not get that one correct. Now, I do have to give it a little bit of grace because the bird that it thought it was a Carolina chickadee, and it's virtually impossible to see the difference between a black-capped chickadee and a Carolina chickadee. One suggestion that I have for all of these smart bird feeders out there, including this one, is maybe utilize location data with your AI system as well, not just the pictures, because that would have eliminated Carolina chickadee directly out of the book as a viable option because we're way outside of its range. So I would also say the AI is probably not worth it for most people. If you are a bird watcher or you've been feeding birds for a while, you probably can recognize most species that are coming to your feeder. But if you are a beginner and you have a little bit of extra money, then it's a cool feature for sure. Now there's one thing that I encountered with the app. They said that they have the ability to do collections, which means that you can go through and collect your certain species of birds at your feeder, which is kind of cool. It does include like 800 plus species, and I doubt you'll ever see a common loon visiting your feeder. But it's still cool to have the option in case one flies by and you catch it on camera. But unfortunately, that feature is not working at the moment. I did reach out to them, and they told me that it was going to be patched and it was going to come out in the coming months and weeks. One other thing about that too is maybe some more feedback for the team. It'd be nice if the names were the common names rather than the scientific names. Most people do not know the scientific names by heart, including myself, and I am constantly putting those scientific names into my videos just as a reference for people. So maybe switch that up and change it back to the common names. Another cool thing is you can watch your feeder live, so you don't even have to go back and look at the old footage. You can just watch it live. You can have the live stream up and you can watch it. Depending how good your internet network is and how close your feeder is, it's a pretty solid connection. I did find that the feeder did pretty well being hooked up about 20 yards away from the house. So that was pretty awesome to see that it would still work even being so far away. If you don't have a Wi-Fi connection, you can actually put a micro SD card into the camera, and that will store as much data as possible until it fills up. So you can kind of use it as a trail cam, although I would recommend utilizing it with Wi-Fi because I feel like that's the best experience from this feeder. All right, now let's move on to some feeder functionality things that I noticed while utilizing this feeder for the past week. Something that I found was awesome is that solar panel is such a lifesaver. This is the first time I've been sent a solar panel. Most smart feeders offer them as like a separate purchase. So it was nice to finally test one out with this feeder, and it makes a huge difference. You don't have to charge the camera. It's been out for a week and it's not in a very sunny area, my solar panel, and it hasn't dropped below 90% battery. That's pretty impressive. So pretty awesome to have that solar panel feature. You don't have to go out and get the camera and charge it. Like I mentioned as well earlier in the video, the seed trough is actually pretty big. I could put a ton of seed into that seed trough. It still hasn't run out and it's been about 5 days. So that's pretty impressive. It can hold a lot of seed. It doesn't look like it can, but it can hold a ton of seed in there as well. So that's pretty awesome. You don't have to fill it up as much as some other feeders maybe on the market. And then lastly, something I didn't mention about the camera is that it does have night vision as well. I don't have any night critters visiting the feeder, but it is nice to know that, if something does fly in front, or maybe you have raccoons or squirrels, you can catch them in the act of stealing your food. And occasionally, I guess birds might come at night to visit a feeder, although I've never had that experience personally after months of feeding birds. So pretty awesome to have the feature, and I think that's really cool that they included it. Overall, the PeckPerk feeder is really well designed. I also would say it's a very versatile feeder. It's worth the price as well. It works really smoothly. It's got a really sleek design. It's got that deep seed trough, and you don't have to charge it if you get the solar panel. So I would definitely recommend this feeder. Let me know in the comments below. Do you have a smart bird feeder? If so, what birds have you captured on your feeder recently? Thank you so much for PeckPerk for sending this bird feeder out, and thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you all next time on Broad-Eyed Birding.